Good morning, everyone. My name is Gabrielle, and the topic we are about to discuss may be triggering to some and can make some feel uncomfortable. If at any time you feel uncomfortable, please feel free to step away from the speech. On April 20th, 1999, at Columbine High School in Littleton, Colorado, Rachel Scott, Isaiah Scholes, William Dave Sanders, John Tomlin, and Daniel Muser are just some of the victims of a mass shooting caused by two teenage boys. Their names were Dylan Klebold and Eric Harris. Dylan and Eric killed 13 people and wounded more than 20 others before turning their guns to themselves and committing suicide. Columbine shooting at the time was the worst high school shooting in U.S. history and was the school shooting that prompted a national debate on gun control and school safety. In 2007, a shooting at Virginia Tech, a gunman killed 32 students and teachers before committing suicide. On February 14, 2018, expelled student Nicholas Cruz entered Parkland, Florida's Stoneman Douglas High School, killing 17 people and wounding 17 others. This is what is now considered the deadliest shooting at a high school in United States history. Nicholas Cruz was charged with 17 counts of first-degree murder and the 17 counts of attempted murder. As we can see, as the years go on, the school shootings get worse. Not only are school shootings happening in high schools, they are even happening in elementary schools. Shootings at Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut. Shooter Adam Lanza killed 20 first graders and 6 school employees. I just want to reiterate that one more time to make sure that everyone heard me correctly. Adam Lanza killed 20 first graders and 6 school employees. In America alone, since 2009, there has been 288 school shootings. The media only covers the school shootings that they feel are big enough to talk about on the news. We are not informed of the hundreds of others that happen on a daily basis. The effects of school shootings have caused children to be scared to go to school. School should be a safe place for students to go. They shouldn't have to worry whether or not they're going to be coming home to their families at the end of the day. Schools are now questioning their security and how they are going to keep their students and faculty safe from these active shooters. The real question is, how are these people getting access to these guns so easily? I will now hand it over to Al, who will discuss more about the reasons behind school shooters in other countries' gun regulations.
Thank you, Gab. I would like to move on to the psychological problems behind these shooters. There's no doubt that there's a cocktail of depression, anxiety, and paranoia mixed up that can create a deadly combination and kill hundreds of innocent people at a time. That desperate mentality and feeling like they're left out is caused many times or most times by bullying as well as cyberbullying, which nowadays kids can't really catch a break from bullies. Not only they get bullied at school, but when they get home from school, they log onto their social media and they see mean comments, memes created with their faces, and name calling. So in a way, bullying doesn't stop 24/7. This is an important risk factor that we believe can shape a future school shooter. As a matter of fact, a 2004 study by the U.S. Secret Service and the Department of Education found out that 75% of the school shooters in this country have been harassed or abused at school before. Other risk factors that we believe are important are missing parents in the household, parents that abuse of substance such as cocaine, alcohol, you name it, and problematic siblings. The lack of a good leader can shape a kid into having really bad and evil thoughts, such as shooting up a school, which clearly, if you had a clear clear mindset or a proper figure, these thoughts wouldn't even come to your mind, obviously. A solution from schools might be to treat these problematic or aggressive teenagers in a better way that comprehended their frustration instead of expelling them from their institutions. A solution from students might be to treat your colleagues as you would treat your family members, respecting them and never judging them on their social status, religion, sexual preference, or hobbies. And a solution from the state government as well as the federal government might be to implement stricter gun laws that would prevent these unstable people from purchasing weapons. We're not anti-guns. We know it's a constitutional right. We just want to be hard to get. We don't want people that are not mentally fit to have guns, and I believe everyone should think that way. That's why I would like to bring up the different licenses that the country that I was born and raised in, Spain, have, so we can get an outsider perspective. The first one would be the Type B, which individuals would be able to carry revolvers. It lasts for 3 years, and you will need to fill up a form. As we don't have a constitutional right to carry guns, you would have to fill up a form expressing your feelings of why you need to carry a gun, as well as a certificate of mental well-being, clean criminal record, and no home violence record. The next license would be the Type C, which, as well as pistols, individuals would be able to carry assault rifles, and this is only given to security guards, private escorts, and people that work with explosives. Weapons must be stored at a safe location under the company's responsibility, and they can only be used by employees when they're on duty, meaning that if I were to work in any of those companies, I wouldn't be able to carry outside of my job when I'm not working. The next license would be the Type D, hunting license. It lasts up until years, and you can have 5 hunting rifles at a time. And last but not least, Type E, this is the range license. Individuals are also able to carry 5 range weapons, and also this license lasts for 5 years. Following up, we will have Kira speaking on the different legislation in the United States, different states. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I wanted to inform everybody about the lack of security when buying guns in certain places and how there should be way more background checks around and everything. So, I wanted to go over certain states. So, Florida, I can tell you, is extremely easy to get a gun. I know firsthand, my brother just moved to Florida and was going to get a gun one day, walked into the gun shop, and the guy said, I need your license, and I need something to prove your residence. And he said, then you're good to go. And did absolutely no background check, nothing. So it's a little scary how easy that is, that anybody could just walk in if you have a license and you live there, you're good to go. You can buy a gun right then and there. So basically, if you're 18 in Florida, you can buy a rifle. If you're 21, you can buy a handgun. And the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives previously required sellers to report multiple semi-automatic rifles sales to like one buyer buying all of them, but a lot of them don't require that anymore. In Arizona, New Mexico, California, and Texas, they are required to report that, but other than those, they don't have to report it. So that's a little bit scary. I think that should be gone away with. They shouldn't do it that way anymore. Also, most guns in the United States aren't registered, so you can just go to a gun show or go online and just buy one, which is kind of scary too. So the easiest states to buy a gun are Alabama. You don't even need a license. I mean, your driver's license, but not like a license to like carry and stuff. Alaska, same thing, you don't need a license and you don't even need a permit to carry. So anybody around you could just have one in their pocket. You have no idea, don't even need a license for it. You don't need anything proving anything about yourself to buy one of these and carry it. Arkansas and Colorado, you don't need a permit to buy them either. Delaware, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, and Indiana, they all don't require a license or registration to buy. So, and then Kansas, you don't need a permit to buy or carry either. So basically, there's nothing telling anybody that you have that gun, and it's just concealed, and you could be a crazy person and have something on you at all times that could kill somebody whenever you want. 90% of the public, the American public, supports background checks for gun sales, but there is a loophole in the federal gun laws that lets people buy them without passing a background check. So anybody could get it. Even if you're mentally ill, you can own a gun. 45% of recent large-scale gun sales online in the past 2 years did not have background checks. So, like I said, anybody, anywhere is getting them. I think that, background checks, that's my whole point here, is that they should be required no matter what. I understand it's a right to carry one and have one, and I don't think most people disagree with that, but we disagree with the fact that it's so easy to get them and the danger behind it, that anybody, anywhere, is especially the way the world is today and how crazy people can be, that it would cut down a lot on the shootings and everything. And I think that there should be way more security when it comes to buying guns in every single state, not just some states. So now I'm going to pass it over to Melina.
The Second Amendment of the U.S. Constitution guarantees a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. The need for a state militia was the predicate of the right guarantee, so as to protect the security of the state. Today, of course, the state militia serves a different purpose. A huge national defense establishment has assumed the role of the militia of 200 years ago. Americans have the right to defend their homes and against those who wish to harm them. No one questions that right. No one questions the citizen's right to use or own an automobile, and there's a lack of interest to question the state's power to regulate the said purchase or the ability to operate the vehicles by making the owner first obtain a license and follow reasonable standards. And yet, why is it so difficult for there to be reasonable regulations on owning and using a gun to prevent mindless carnage? Owning guns isn't wrong. That's not what we're trying to say here. What is wrong is how the regulations for owning and using guns are too lax, even though they've created many preventable problems. There's countless proof of guns being used to kill many innocent people, and the person who held the weapon was able to easily obtain it, even while being either underage or without a proper license. Not to mention the laws in place now are simply unable to prevent criminals from obtaining guns. A study conducted by Third Way, a centrist Democratic group, looked at gun ads posted on armslist.com in 10 states over several randomly chosen days in the summer of 2013. It was found that more than 15,000 guns were available at any given time. They also found that 1,928 ads were made by prospective buyers seeking to buy privately to ensure that there were no background checks required. Now, doesn't that sound scary? How easy is it for someone to obtain a gun, whether it be legally or illegally? Of 62 mass shootings in the United States between 1982 and 2012, 49 of the shooters used legally obtained guns. Collectively, 143 guns were possessed by the killers, with about 75% obtained legally. According to the Bureau of Justice Statistics' May 2013 report, 37.4% of state prison inmates who used, carried, or possessed a firearm when they committed the crime for which they were serving a prison sentence for, obtained the gun from a family member or friend. So clearly, it's far too easy to get a gun without even having to go and buy one. There were 572,537 total gun deaths between 1999 and 2016, 336,579 suicides, 58.8% of total gun deaths, 213,175 homicides, 37.2%, and 11,428 unintentional deaths, 2%. The U.S. General Accountability Office estimated that 100% of deaths per year in which a child under 6 years old shoots and kills him or herself or another child could be prevented by automatic child-proof safety locks. 5 women a day are killed by guns in America. A woman's risk of being murdered increases 500% if a gun is present during a domestic dispute. Like we said before, owning guns isn't wrong. What's wrong is that the regulations for owning guns and using them are far too lax. I will now pass it over to Vic, who will talk about the different types of guns available to the public.
Hi everybody, my name is Vic, and just as Milena had just stated, I'm going to be talking about the different types of guns used, attachments used on weapons, and past casualties that have resulted from these weapons if put into the wrong hands. The Second Amendment is a right to all people to bear arms, but we feel as though that the types of weapons and attachments allowed to the public should be widely restricted and mandated. Handguns have been the most common type of weapon for mass shootings, accounting for 80% of them. Of that 80%, 60% were solely handguns used in the US from 1982 to 2020. This shows that no matter how small a weapon may be, it can have a major impact. Rifle-type weapons such as semi-automatic and fully automatic have also become a huge problem in recent times. Just as Gab had talked about some deadly shootings in the US history, there are so many more lives claimed by these deadly weapons. Semi-automatic rifles were featured in 4 of the 5 deadliest mass shootings, 3 of the mass shootings being the Orlando nightclub massacre, which left 49 dead and 53 injured, the Sandy Hook Elementary massacre, which left 28 dead and 2 injured, and the Texas First Baptist Church massacre, which left 27 dead and 20 injured. Like the 3 events I just listed, another one being an event that some or many of us can still remember, just like the other ones, is the mass shooting at the Las Vegas Strip massacre. Known as the deadliest mass shooting in US history, in this tragic event, a shooter known as Stephen Paddock had unleashed a fury of bullets from a 32nd story window into a country concert. From this one shooting, the perpetrator had left 58 dead and 546 injured. And with him, there were 23 firearms discovered in total. Attachments were a huge reason as to why Stephen Paddock was able to hit so many victims with his choice of modified weapons. Attachments can turn an ordinary weapon meant for self-protection into a military-grade weapon. Bigger clip sizes, scopes, and grips were found on some of the weapons that were used in this tragic event. With the amount of firearms and types of attachments all coming together can only suggest something other than self-defense was in order. In specific, the types of modifications used were a clip that allowed one of the rifles to hold up to 60 to 100 clip magazine, a holographic sight, a hand grip, and a scope used for long range and accurate shooting. Stephen Paddock had a plan to hit as many people with the utmost precision with no intention of missing. As Al brought up psychological issues and reasons as to why someone would commit such a horrific act that brings upon so much sadness. It's obvious that someone like Stephen Paddock was not in a mentally sane place to be able to get his hands on any sort of weapon. Even with one casualty, that single person being taken away impacts so many people associated with the victim, so it's never just one person being affected. Your own actions don't only affect you, but also the people around you, and influence different reactions, which can change the course of many people's lives.